versus movie. Movie versus movie. Movie versus movie. Movie versus movie.
Welcome back, everyone, to another one of the, I guess we're calling it for now Culture Boys, but I also used it as the episode title for the last one.
Culture Boys Part 2. We'll have to come up, we can workshop some other names. Yeah, we got to come up with some names for this. Be some clever...
Something there, right? Can't come up with it now. But we were just talking about e-bikes. You got an e-bike.
I got an e-bike, and I love it. I feel like a dork a little bit. It's not as cool, I think, as riding a normal bike. And when you pass people sometimes. Yeah. But just for like trips that I take that would normally take 45 minutes to an hour on a regular bike. Yeah. It's just been so nice because it's
How much does it reduce your time, do you think?
I think about 20% for like distances that I feel like I know pretty well. Yeah. I mean, it can vary because it just depends on how much you have to stop. If you have to stop a bunch, then it's pretty similar. But on spots where it's like long kind of straightaways, it really cuts down on time. Yeah.
So like, is the battery actually attached to the bike, or do you have to like remove it and take it with you whenever you drop it somewhere?
It's attached. I mean, you can remove it to charge it, but it stays. It's integrated into the bike. So if I lock it up somewhere, I just leave the battery on there. Nice. I think you can, because it has a little key to like get it out.
Oh, so. Nice. So it's not like someone could just come up and grab it.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I love e-bikes. I use I have a Blue Bikes pass, so I get free access to them as I pay some sort of monthly thing. But the gray ones on the Blue Bikes are e-bikes, and they fucking rule, dude. Like whereas it would take me in Boston, for dear listener, if you're not from Boston, basically no matter what you do, it's like 45 minutes to get anywhere, just because of how our public transportation system works. It's just always going to take you about the same amount of time. However, with an e-bike, you can get from like one stop to the next stop in like half the time, because you don't have to wait for a train or anything. You just boogie, and it's great. I love it so much. Also, I love biking. I used to live in Canada, and when I lived in Halifax, I would bike fucking everywhere. It was the best. Great. I love it.
It's so nice. It's like I biked a bunch in college, had a bunch of friends that bike. It actually reminded me, did you ever see that Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie where he's the bike messenger?
I missed it.
I never saw it, but I've seen
it's like Maximum Ride or something.
I want to watch it because it's the whole thing is that like he's like a biking savant where he's on his little fixie. I think
he's like sliding under cars. He's like going down railings.
But I've seen clips where it'll like cut, he's going into an intersection and he'll have like a vision. He'll see all his possible paths. But I think he like imagines himself like getting hit by a truck. He like sees one where he's like, if I go through here, and then it like shows him getting hit by a truck. And so he's like, nope, not doing that one. I think
it's like Sherlock Holmes mind palace kind of thing.
But yeah, no, the e-bike rules. Okay, speaking of transportation. Yeah. Plane movies.
Plane movies.
How do you feel about watching movies on a plane?
This is a great question. So
I've been thinking about this recently.
I like to rewatch movies on a plane because it's comfortable.
For the listener, I just pointed real hard at Nick to say I strongly agree.
I love rewatching a movie. It's calming. It passes the time great. However, there was a moment we were traveling recently, and I was like kind of feeling a little weird. We're coming back home anyway, so I was kind of in that transition of like from vacation back home, and I like had my head against the window, and the person in front of me, which was watching Saving Private Ryan, which is the most gruesome
insane plane movie.
Yeah, I was watching it and I was like, but I couldn't look away because it's very well made. Yeah, and I was like watching it, but I was watching people like sobbing and being mutilated and like being killed and blood everywhere, and literally Alice was like, "Are you scared like that we're gonna crash or something?" Because I was like so anxious. I was like, no, I just gotta stop watching this. Affected. Yeah, like I can't. Like I'm watching this movie over this guy's shoulder, and I'm like almost sobbing.
Oh my god, I do that a lot. I watch movies over people's shoulder probably more often than I pick a movie myself. But yes. I have learned through my mistakes that the answer is to watch a movie you've already seen before, or watch a children's movie.
Yes.
So like I feel like the one trip I had, I watched Ocean's 11, and that was the perfect plane movie.
It's perfect. It's popcorny. It's just like fun.
It's fun to watch. I've seen it a million times. I can doze off and wake up, and I like know what's happening. But like the one time I watched Before Sunrise on a plane.
That's the worst choice you could have made.
I've never seen it before.
I love that movie. However, that's a terrible
plane movie because it's like it's not like
introspective.
It's introspective and like deeply intimate between two people. So I felt uncomfortable watching it in public, not because there's stuff that's happening on screen that's like bad, but I'm like, this feels personal. I shouldn't be watching this in a crowd.
These people are falling in love. Give me some space.
Right. And I'm like, could I have a ginger ale, please? Yeah. From the thing. But
however, that does seem like a good movie. I could see with all the distractions and stuff on a plane, it not being a good movie to watch on a plane. It could be a pretty good movie to fall asleep to.
I could see that. Yeah. Very like calming.
Yes.
But I watched, so the last plane ride I went on, or one of the most recent ones. I think the last one I just watched episodes of Jeopardy, which was great.
That's a good one.
But the other time I tried to watch, this was two different plane rides. Okay, the Jeopardy ride, I tried to watch this Finnish movie called Fallen Leaves that I'd heard good things about. And it was like an hour 20. So I was like, perfect. Because the plane ride was not that long.
Yeah.
I put it on and it's in Finnish, no subtitles. I was like, what? There's just 4 Finnish people to watch. So I didn't watch that.
Were you going to like Finland or like some sort of Scandinavian?
No, I was coming back from North Carolina.
There's a huge Finn population in North Carolina.
So I was like, damn. But I think on the way down or a different plane ride recently, I watched the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
How was that?
Mutant Mayhem. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
It was really great.
I've been really impressed with some children/animated movies recently. Like I haven't seen that one. Heard it was good. I'm glad you thought it was. I want to hear more. But also like the Spider-Verse movies, the artistry in those. Yeah. What the fuck? That's incredible.
Yeah.
Like the amount of detail, like each character is at a different frame rate.
And it's just, and it's just cool to see like animation take steps forward.
Yeah, because I think for a while, like animation is, as a form, supposed to be something very experimental that you can do weird shit with, right? And like impossible shots and all that kind of stuff. However, I feel like for a long time, we haven't really seen a very experimental animation scene, except for maybe like out of Pixar or something like that.
Even Pixar, though, I don't think the animation to me, like it's to the point where Disney and Pixar stuff feels kind of stale because I guess you have like Soul had some pretty creative stuff, but it's still generally like CGI, there's I don't know what to call it. There's a texture and stuff to it that's very Pixar.
Yes.
Or the way the people look and stuff. You like know. But yeah, I really like Spider-Verse and the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have that where they're integrating 2D aspects of 2D animation into the 3D.
There's a movie we should watch together. It's called I think Redline. And it is a old school anime. I think it was released in like 2010, 2015. And it's the last full-length anime movie that was hand animated. So every single frame throughout the entire movie was hand drawn.
Wow.
And it is fucking incredible. Like just because the what you can do with it is so amazing because it's no CGI at all, no sort of like 3D landscapes that you slap texture on and then put 2D characters in. Everything just really gels together and it's incredible. The different stuff that they do. There's another anime called FLCL or Fooly Cooly.
Yeah.
And
I watched it, but
it's so good. It's 4 episodes. Just give it a try, the original series anyway. The animation studio was going out of business, or no. An animation studio was going out of business, and the people who made this show had bought up all of the technology that they were selling. And so they had a bunch of new animation equipment that they didn't know how to use. And so they were like, let's make a short like anime and use it all to just figure out how to use it. So there's like scenes in there where it's like somebody and then like something happens and they're like, what? And then there's like a time stop matrix, like 360 camera spin around a character or whatever. Or like it's like them talking and then it goes into like somebody flipping comic book pages and that kind of animation. It's like, it's absolutely wild.
I love that.
But yeah, when compared to some of the older stuff like that, new cartoons just really new animation doesn't really hold up in the experiments and like you said, pushing the form forward. So I'm really glad that we've started to see some that are doing that.
Yeah, it's cool to see, and they do a good in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. There's they use it in creative ways similar to Spider-Man to kind of like mix up the medium a little bit through like how someone telling a story and stuff. It's worth watching. It's hour 40 minutes. It's like it's fun. It's funny. It's like got heart.
Yeah,
they feel like kids. Like they feel like teenagers.
That's Seth Rogen, right?
Yeah, he like produced it.
I think he also helped write it.
Yeah, I think so. I think him and Evan Goldberg, his like main writing partner. Yeah. And then he's one of Bebop or Rocksteady, which is what are they? A rhino and a.
Oh yeah. The guy with the tank in his stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like a pig.
One of them's a pig and one's a rhino. It's just fun. It has a lot of I'm not a huge like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles head, but you can tell it's just like in the
somebody was in
the tradition of it, of like they bring in a bunch of the like wacky characters and there's like genuinely funny jokes. Io Edebiri's in it, who's like the biggest star in the world right now. She plays April O'Neil.
Oh yeah,
which is great.
That's Did you know that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a spin-off of Daredevil?
Yes.
That's fucking crazy to me.
It was like a parody.
Yeah.
It was
like the hand. No, they fight the foot.
Right. It's like a very deliberate parody, and then it turned into like a massive
it was so
children's
popular
franchise. Yeah. It's so funny.
Well, and the other thing too, which I kind of wanted to talk to you about today, just in a general thing of like, is there no new IP anymore? Because did you hear that they're doing like 2 or 3 new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle thing? One is like an original, it's called Ronin, and it's like original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is extremely bloody, like black and white, like crazy sort of thing. Because it was like supposed to be this kind of gritty offshoot of Daredevil,
right?
And then became much more silly. But they're doing the kind of like hard R version of that. But they're also doing more of the stuff that you saw, and they're like doing a new TV show,
right? And there's going to be another movie, the IP thing. Well, but they're also trying to turn everything into IP, because now there's going to like Mattel's like going wild with everything they can turn into IP.
What do you think is going to happen with that?
I think a lot of it's probably going to get canceled. I feel like a bunch of stuff's been announced. There was supposed to be Alina Dunham directed Polly Pocket, and she's already backed out of that.
Yeah,
and there's supposed to be like a Daniel Kaluuya, I think, is supposed to direct a Barney movie or something. It's just like Mad Libs headlines of like, it's and then I feel like between that and the like food product origin, or like the origin story universe now of like what I've heard is god awful Jerry Seinfeld Pop-Tart movie.
Yeah,
there's like the Hot Cheeto movie. There was Blackberry.
Is this real?
Hot Cheeto movie?
Yeah, the rest of
it's who's in it? I feel like it's Luis Guzman, but I could be wrong.
How is it a good use of marketing dollars to make a full movie? It just doesn't feel right. Also, I heard about the Jerry Seinfeld thing. Jerry Seinfeld is an enigma to me. I think the last thing that he did that held any sort of cultural value was the Bee Movie.
Yeah, and that I don't know if I give him credit for. I feel like Bee Movie holds cultural value because it's this weird, absurd object, and I'm like, it's a thing where I'm like, was he sincerely trying to make? I don't know.
There is some weird stuff in there, but like to the point where the public always picks up on it, like how the bee wants to like fuck a woman, or like the woman wants to fuck a bee, and it's sort of like the culture at large kind of figured that out and was like, what the fuck is happening here? I saw that a long time ago, and I remember enjoying it, but I don't know.
I never saw the movie, but it's Gen Z like fucking picked it up and ran with it.
Yeah, it's just so surreal. I think that it's the thing of like, I think we're moving away from realism.
I think it's surreal. I think it's the combination of surreal, and it's early enough in CGI animation that the animation is not that great, and that adds to the
camp
surrealness of it and the camp. Yeah,
it reminds me of like Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah,
like that animation style of like, this looks crazy.
Yeah,
but it still is funny. If I could do any voice, it would be the Carl voice. Jimmy's mom. Man, what did we grow up on, dude? Should we talk about what we want to do for next month?
Yeah, we should. We should make some plans.
Yeah. So we have a friend who will murder us if we don't do the one she pitched.
Yeah.
So we should probably do that one.
Which is a great one.
Yeah.
Which is a great one. I feel like, I don't know. It sounds like there's one of the movies that you're avoiding a little bit.
Which one?
You're talking about Lady Bird and Boyhood, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen Boyhood?
I have not.
Okay.
It's a Linklater. I liked Before Sunrise, that whole series. However,
I just heard a rumor that you were anti-Boyhood.
I am not super into gimmick movies, and I feel like that is a gimmick movie.
It is I guess it is a gimmick movie. I don't think the end product is a gimmick, though. The thing about that movie, I would be curious to rewatch it, because when did that come out?
It came out 2014, 2015.
Right. So, like, the generation of the kid in the movie is our generation. And so watching it was like a very like weird visceral experience to like watch.
Have you ever seen 8th Grade?
No, I never saw 8th Grade.
That's one that was a visceral for me, where I was like, can I watch this? This is putting me back into 8th grade, and like that's not a place where I had a good time.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not avoiding it. I think that our friend Jamie might think that I am avoiding it just because I have put off watching it. But also, I tend to forget what happens like clearly in a movie if we watch it too far away from when we record. Fair. So I've just been putting that off. But I did watch Lady Bird with her already, so I'm halfway done.
There you go. No, I think that one, check. That one should be on the schedule.
And that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is like families, like, or growing up is the verses that we're doing there.
Yeah, I think too of like a certain generation too. Yeah. Although Lady Bird might be set. I actually don't remember. Is Lady Bird supposed to be like contemporary with Greta Gerwig's childhood, or is it later?
I think they have phones.
So it might be similar eras then.
Yeah. I thought that Lady Bird was going to be a completely different movie, style wise. Huh. I was happily wrong, but I thought like before I was like, I know exactly what this movie is going to be. And then I watched it and I was like, that was not what I thought, not what I thought it was going to be. I have so much to say about Lady Bird. And also my mom called me directly afterwards and we had like sort of a tense conversation. I was like, this cannot be happening to me right now.
Oh, no.
Right after this movie about like, daughters and their mothers and how that ends up. I was like, Jesus Christ, I don't need more of this.
Too close to home.
What other ones do we have on the docket though?
So one came up recently from maybe Alice. Mm-hmm. That was Harold and Maude versus Moonstruck.
Yeah, like weird relationships.
Yeah, because we had Moonstruck on the list just kind of tentatively as like Nick Cage movies. Yeah. But Harold and Maude's a movie that I really loved when I watched it in high school.
Yeah, I would love to do that. We also have Raising Arizona and another like, Little Miss Sunshine, I think, which is like like weird raising of children,
and also like kind of American heartland movies a little bit, which would be an interesting contrast to Joe Dirt, and that one would be good because I would have a hard time picking between those two. I think those are both very good movies. I have never
seen either of them.
Really?
That's how crazy
I just watched Little Miss Sunshine earlier this year for the first time. And so I was missing out on that one, and it was incredible. And then Raising Arizona I saw as a kid and like it was too weird for me. Yeah, it didn't work. I mean, I found it funny at parts. It didn't work. And then I watched it as an adult because I can't remember if it was because I wanted to do the Halloween costume or I just happened to watch it and then wanted to do the Halloween costume, and it like really worked for me as an adult.
Did it work for you just because it was like the movie's just good, or did it work for you because like growing up has given you a perspective on
the movie's just good? I think as a kid I could be averse to things that I thought were weird and that like I didn't understand, and I think that movie like fit that. And I think too just like appreciating Yeah, it's definitely like a more grown up story too. It's like about like young parents like trying to like navigate the world. So
if I were to throw out at you what is your classic, so like a classic movie but not made by like it's not an American movie, what is your like classic director that you think of?
You like classic as in like,
for example, I'll give you mine.
Okay. Yeah.
Like Kurosawa.
Yeah.
Makes incredible movies. Like Seven Samurai and all that kind of thing.
It's like iconic.
Yeah, it's iconic. He definitely forwarded the form quite a bit. He used a lot of really interesting like themes like weather and movement and things like that to do some interesting stuff visually. However, I have never really like there's not one that jumps out to me that is from another country that I think of in the same breath as like that. So like, do you have one that's like, this is my like the maestro of my mind?
I don't know. I mean, there's like Hitchcock was British, but he worked in the US for like the bigger part of his career. I don't know if this is like quite the same, but I like Andrei Tarkovsky. Have you watched any of his movies? The Russian filmmaker.
Yep.
I feel like it's just extremely influential but like his movies are very artsy and kind of esoteric, so they're not like accessible in the same way.
I would love to do like a non-American influence on film by non-Americans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There are other directors that I like kind of think of that I just don't know as well. I feel like Ingmar Bergman, like there's Wim Wenders, who's a German director who's made some like relatively well-known stuff that I've wanted to watch but haven't really. Obviously like Bong Joon-ho, I love.
Oh man, I also want to do Memories of Murder and like there is a Memories of Murder from the US that we could pair it with pretty easy, and they're very different the way they are shot, and I think that it's very clear which one is better. But I think that like Memories of Murder and maybe like what's the David Fincher? Zodiac. I think that those two would probably go together pretty well.
That would be a good one.
Yeah. Zodiac made me physically stressed when I watched it.
The murder scenes or just all of it?
Specifically when he's going into the basement of that guy's house.
Oh yeah.
And you're not sure whether or not he's really the killer.
Scary.
That made me lose my mind. I was like crawling out of my skin.
Yeah, that's a really tense movie.
Yeah.
For how little
actually happens
on screen. It's a good movie. I would be interested to rewatch that one.
There's also one so Tony Zhao, who does Every Frame of Painting, is one of my like favorite like thinkers about film, and he has a really interesting video essay. It's on Netflix, and the series is called Voir, and it's by the guy who did Eraserhead. He's like the executive producer. What's his name?
David Lynch.
David Lynch. And he did this really interesting one on Lady Vengeance, which is another South Korean movie, but there's a Lady Vengeance and a Mr. Vengeance that both came out by the same director. And I would be interested in watching them because the way he describes that movie and what you see, I was like, this is crazy. And everything happens off screen. Like no violence happens on screen. But it's like a revenge flick like John Wick. And so I just want to like let that sit as sort of like, then how do you get all of the like action or whatever? All of that happens, but you only see the after parts of it, of these people doing kind of like horrible physical things to a person. Yeah.
I've seen both of that.
Oh, you have? Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about them?
There's sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Lady Vengeance, and it's Park Chan-wook, and he made those two movies. And he made, I think, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Old Boy, and Lady Vengeance. It was like his Vengeance trilogy.
Yeah.
And I think of Lady Vengeance as my favorite of the three, but it is extremely emotionally affecting.
Yeah. Would you say that it's more affecting than like American revenge films that you've seen?
I think so, because it doesn't really like revel in it or glorify it. I think, as you were saying, it kind of like tries to deal with the emotional stakes of it and like what you can actually get out of that, if anything. in like a pretty heavy way. So yeah, I don't know. I think
there's that scene where they're draining the blood out of the tarp or whatever. They like cut the. Oh God, that's so.
There's a version of the movie, and this is the one I watched, where throughout the course of the movie, it starts in color and it gradually turns to black and white.
So it gets kind of like colder, I guess.
Yeah. And it was really affecting. And I didn't realize that was the version I watched and that wasn't the normal version until after, and I looked it up. And I also made the mistake watching that movie of taking an edible. And the edible,
were you like, what the fuck is happening?
The edible kicked in because it's also that director and like Bong Joon-ho. Maybe it's like a South Korean sensibility. They really combine genres extremely well. So like that movie is like really funny. There's a lot of humor in Lady Vengeance and stuff, and in like Old Boy and stuff. So it like really combines. It like plays a lot with. There's humor in it. There's like revenge, like, you know, kind of the American revenge movie style where you're like, hell yeah, you go girl, like those aspects, and then also just like extremely like heavy, bleak content and like emotional stuff. So it was a wild ride, but the end is like very somber and emotional. I think the part that they talk about a lot in that video essay, and that's when the edible kicked in. So I was like,
like, dear God. Yeah. I would love to watch it. I'd love to watch it with you. And I honestly, I just want to, we should do just like a South Korean sort of like span of movies.
Yeah.
Because there are some really fucking great ones that are so passed over.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like Parasite, and Parasite's fantastic. But like there's a stable of movies with that aesthetic and like just as good, I feel as though.
And there are ones that I haven't seen that I want to see. So I'd love to.
Cool. Well, maybe we'll do that on a future one. Everyone, you heard it here first. We're doing
Lady Bird and Boyhood.
Yeah,
next?
Lady Bird and Boyhood. Sorry, I literally, that wasn't me trying to catch you. I like just forgot. I just forgot, so I pointed
like, that
at
was
you.
the one we agreed to, right? It'll be good. We gotta carve out a chunk of time because I think Boyhood's like 3 hours long.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Now I'm avoiding it. But yeah, we've already seen Lady Bird, so we can get that one up and running pretty fast. And if you are interested in showing us movies that you like that you want us to do, just send us an email to movievsmoviepodcast@gmail.com. All right, everyone, we will see you in another 2 weeks for another episode of Movie versus Movie. Goodbye.
Bye.